first of all, make sure that's located, and then down we go, and we use a pecking motion.
Hey folks, Steve here. How you doing? I am exploring the Parf Guide Mark II system, where I will be able to drill my own dog holes without relying on someone with a CNC machine or any templates or anything like that. There are a lot of different ways I could make this happen, and I could also just lay it out manually like a large grid and then just drill them that way. So there are a lot of different ways to do this, but I was very much hoping to make sure that my new workbench, my Polk Smart Bench, and when that is completed, I'll start working on the Polk Smart Station that has all of the tools integrated, that I want to be able to rely on the fact that my dog holes are at perfect 90-degree angles, that they are quote-unquote CNC perfect, or S&S perfect, right? So Steve and Spencer, right? So with that being said, I am figuring out the Mark II system, and I checked out Ron Polk's videos when he was using it, and it looks straightforward enough, but he even recommended going right to the source. So I went to, hang on, I'll tell you exactly. It is the New Brit Workshop. The name of the video I'm looking at is the UJK Parf Guide System Mark II Part 1. So apparently there's a Part 2 video, and this is from Mr. Parfit himself, who actually created this system. He is demonstrating at first the difference between his first and the Mark II system, so Mark I, Mark II, and then he is going into how to use the Mark II system. So I'm watching that video and I'm doing it as he is doing it. I kind of watched a little bit ahead, then I came back, and then I'm kind of repeating what he is doing. So far, I measured, I squared my board up. This is just a practice board. I want to make sure that I know what I'm doing before I grab my ultralight plywood that's pre-cut and ready to go as the top for my Smart Bench. And I simply squared this up using my track and my TSO guide rail. Squared it up so I know everything is parallel and square with each other, perpendicular and parallel. After that, I started on this side. I measured in 96, made a mark, measured up 96 and made a mark because I'm doing 96 millimeter on center for these dog holes. I came over and I figured out where the other hole was by measuring up 96 and using one of the Parf sticks to mark at one of his pre-drilled holes, and then I checked the other pre-drilled hole. I basically scored, so I knew where that should be, measured up 96, and I was able to find center of that hole. So it was not a problem at all. After that, I clamped it in place. Unfortunately, because I have to be 96 in, I do not have any long-nosed clamps. I was very surprised to find that I didn't have anything actually that would work on this. So I had to grab one of my giant C-clamps. I have the other C. So it was a scramble for clamps. Note to self, I need some clamps with kind of longer jaws. All right, well, the first thing I did was I chucked up his 3 millimeter drill bit. This comes with the system. It has a guide. I then used one of the bearing guides, set it in the hole, and it perfectly aligns, and then you drill. Up and down, get your drill hole. Then this comes out. By the way, there are two of these drill guides. He suggests using the one with the shallower collar. The one with the taller collar is if you have two of these Parf sticks stacked. This won't work with only one Parf stick. You have to use the one with the shallow collar. Then I came over here, did the same, and I set this in, drill, took this out, and then you're able to use these alignment pins. And I pinned there, and these alignment pins are exactly 3 millimeters, so they fit tight into the hole that you just drilled. All right, well, now I have to go back and watch the video, but I'm assuming that I am pre-drilling with this drill guide all these holes down through. So we'll check. So I just watched the video a little bit farther ahead, and it's as I expected. Now I can simply just continue the drilling for the stick that's already in place. He has a few different holes. There's a hole at 32 and 48. You want to skip those. He has holes numbered 0 to 10, and these are the holes that, as you initially lay out, these are the holes that he recommends using, 0 and 10. So after that, it's just a matter of using the drill guide again with the shallow collar. Hole number 1. Hole 2. All right, my first 10 holes are laid out. Holes are drilled. Now I'm going to be able to use Pythagorean's theorem and the other Parf stick to create the triangle, so I know that I'm going to be square with an additional set of holes, but I have to watch that video just to make sure. All right, so the Parf stick that was along here that I pre-drilled, I simply removed pin number 10, which is at the far side on my extreme right, and I rotated this stick up to here. So this is the first stick, now simply rotated 90 degrees. Then he suggests, because we're going to do a 3 or a 6, 8, 10 triangle, I counted over from here, which is a 0 mark, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I took the second parf stick, put a pin in it at 0, and then I rotated it over until the 2 sticks lined up. This stick lined up at 10, this stick lined up at 8 on the holes, and then they come with a special pin that has a screw and a collar, so everything lines up, and then when you screw it down, nothing moves. There is no movement in this whatsoever. And now I am able to actually pre-drill. However, I am ready to go. I am able to now drill a hole there. Because I'm using a standard layout, it would simply be hole number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and this is where my sample material ends with hole number 5. I cannot go any further. All right, now I know that these set of holes and these set of holes are absolutely square, and now I can take a pin. I can pin at number 5, and so I know this is locked in place here. Okay, well, now I got to watch the video again to see where I go from here, now that I have 2 sets of holes laid out at perfect right angles from each other. This is exciting. This is easy. Just follow the video. Now what I have done is I have simply moved over to this side, so this would have been originally hole number 10. I have pinned this parf stick at 0, set it up there. I took this second parf stick at 0 on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th hole. Again, we're looking for a 6, 8, 10 triangle, so 6 over 8 up. And then this stick at 10, this stick at 8. When the 10 and the 8 line up, then you want to pin it, because again, I'm floating in midair. I am using that pin with a screw that aligns these two. And again, there is no movement at all. I am ready to drill these holes. All right, I'll tell you what, this is exciting, and it's maybe because it's easy that it's like, wow, you know, there's no mystery here. It's just with a couple of simple instructions, this is making perfect sense. We use these to create a perfect triangle, and I was able to get 5 holes here. These 5 holes and these 10 holes are exactly at 90 degrees, exactly perpendicular. I use these same set of holes to line up this side with, again, a 6, 8, 10 triangle. So 6 along here, 8 here, 10 on the hypotenuse. And then I drilled 5 holes here, again, because of the size of the stock. So now, these holes are exactly parallel with each other. And they're exactly, I don't know what the spacing is at this point, I think it's 960 millimeters. These are exactly at perpendicular to these. So now what I can do is I can simply use, from here, if this is hole 0, then I have hole number 1 as I move up. And I just pin at exactly 0 and 10, just like I did with the first set of holes, and then I get to drill all of these. So I get to drill 2 through 9, and then I move it up, drill 2 through 9, move it up, drill 2 through 9, do it again, and then this is completely laid out with the pilot holes. Wow, exciting stuff. So that's all I have to do now, is just continue to do this. At first I thought, okay, now that I've got the hang of the system, I don't really need to create this as a template for anything. Now that I understand it, let's get to drilling the actual dog holes so I know how to run this thing. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this whole board and just have it. Why not? And it could actually be something to hang off of one of these workbenches. So it'll actually serve dual function. It's not laid out for 96. So I just kind of cut it here, cut it there, it was fall off, and I'm using it. But I got 10. And I got 5, so that's not too shabby here. All right, well, let's give this a shot. 20mm Forstner bit that comes with the kit. I installed this collar. It has a set screw with an Allen key. I set it to where I am drilling down about 20mm. If this is 3/4 plywood, it's 18mm plywood. This will actually go down through and it will go into my sacrificial strips. However, it will not go any further. So that collar is pretty necessary so you don't go too deep. Other than that, there is a locator pin. This was not a cutter, but a locator pin that will be able to locate all of these pre-drilled holes to where you can set it down. So for instance, right here, there, that's right in one of those holes. Then I can use, at this stage, 2 of these guide pins that I previously used. And that aligns with this hole, this one, aligns with this set of holes, and I am ready to drill. And so on. So this system will allow me to do every other hole using these guide pins and this system right here. After that, I have to go to, after that, you start to use the guide dogs. And they will actually then align with the larger holes to allow you to do in between. Well, folks, it was a little bit of a learning curve, but it was easy. It was just time consuming in that I was going slow, making sure that I was not making any mistakes. First time through the entire system, and wow, man oh Manischewitz, as Tony's uncle used to say, this is perfectly aligned right here. This is just, it's amazing. So CNC quality on a concrete pad at night, outdoors, with nothing but a drill and the Parf Guide System Mark II. Impressive. Thank you very much to Ron Polk, certainly Mr. Parfit himself, but Ron Polk for suggesting this. And on a video when I put out, and I was just kind of theorizing exactly how I wanted to do the dog holes on my bench that I will do tomorrow. And I was saying, well, you know, the Parf 2 is certainly, you know, an option. Could I send the top out for CNC work? Could I, you know, have a template made and just use the template to drill? And I threw out a few things, even just drawing a grid and going for it like I did, like I've done other times. And the 4 or 5, it was only a few, you know, so my videos, right? On the few comments that I got, it was Ron Polk, Russ Albright, and a couple of others who had said, hey, Spence, you got to do the Parf system. You just got to do it. And that was all it took to convince me. I was already on the fence anyway, and they just kind of nudged me over. I fell over and said, all right, let's order it. And I ordered it that night. It came in a week later. It came in yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I was very anxious to get to it today. And wow. It's incredibly straightforward, especially with Mr. Parfit's videos, that there's just no way around exactly knowing what to do and how to do it. And I understand, because of the system, how I can do the 32mm holes if I want perimeter holes. Now, I did not lay this particular sheet of plywood out for any particular size. It was just fall off, and I squared it up. That's all I did. And then I just had a couple of 96mm marks, and I went from there. And I will use this. I will go ahead and sand this up, and I will chamfer all of the holes and everything. And this could be just one of those things you put on your bench to expand the size of your bench. So excited about it, because this is functional, because I didn't screw it up. And that's nice. Now, one thing I would do, and I know Ron Polk did it on his videos, I didn't see it on the Parfit video, but on the back side. And I will do this tomorrow when I actually do my tabletop. Once you do all of your pilot holes, so you're going to have, you know, 200 pilot holes, how many ever holes you're going to drill, right? So you're going to have 200 pilot holes that go all the way through your plywood. Before you start grabbing before I start grabbing my Parf Guide Mark II, flip the piece over, and just with the Forstner bit, the 20mm Forstner bit, guided by the pre-drilled holes, I'm just going to relieve about 1/8 of an inch all the way across the back to alleviate the tear out that I saw on this piece of plywood here. I did have quite a bit of tear out. So on the actual bench, I want it to look as professional as I want to be perceived. And for that, I will eliminate the tear out on the flip side and just know that everything's going to work out just fine. All right, well, tomorrow, it's the bench top, and then I can assemble, because that's the last thing to do. Then assembly happens. Wonderful time. Y'all take care. Have a good evening. If you would, like and subscribe, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye.